Welcome to another episode of Brand Decoded Show. Today's topic, some will say it's a clickbait, I will say I'm just keeping it real, is human obsolescence from the equation of labor and what you need to do in 2026 to position yourself for the next 10 years because it's bumpy. I will say it's bumpy. We used to be a 22 people team at the height of the human labor within our agency. And we cut down to 13 people. There's a solid chance we curb down even lower down to 8 people. And the reason is simple. Artificial intelligence is taking over most of the company processes that are simple. So a lot of people that are buying services are going to say, well, if AI is doing all the work, then why do I need you? And this is the reason why there's an opportunity gap, an opportunity window for solo founders and atomic teams. Atomic teams would be teams between 3 to 10 people that are utilizing artificial intelligence highly effectively in order to achieve business goals. I didn't believe that we were this far to making human labor obsolete. And the only layer of human labor is becoming creativity. Now, in order to fully grasp how to deploy artificial intelligence for business purposes, you need to observe things a little bit more holistically. And I want to open up this episode with the story of Palantir. There was a very popular blog post of how the Silicon Valley company killed the most dangerous man on the planet, which is directly contributing to the execution of Ayatollah in Iran. Even though it's not official, but Iran declared Palantir the number one enemy of the country, or one of the number one enemies of the tech conglomerate of the United States. And it's like, I think that they issued even a fatwa or something like that with the new Ayatollah. But bottom line is, we have to understand how they achieved that and how does this pertain to the actual business case? Because that's the most interesting part as to what is happening right now with the AI. And if you're not one managing the AI, and your job is a white collar job in front of the computer, you are going to face obsolescence. And if you don't learn how to utilize AI to systematize processes, streamline things, make things much faster, there won't be a room for you. I've been saying this to my employees, not to scare them, but to inspire them, because this is coming across the board. And people that are automating the processes are going to cannibalize a lot of human labor, and a lot of that money that was going towards the salaries will recomposition itself. Now, the problem lies in the fact that organizing a workflow process is not an easy thing. It requires a human element. And if you are in tech field and you're, I don't know, building websites, doing SEO, doing marketing, doing automation, AI needs to be an integral component of your work. And let's dive into how Palantir assisted the arrest of the Maduro and the beheading of the IRGC in Iran. So first we need to understand the Project Maven and how it connects to business, because Palantir is also a business B2B service provider company like ours. And how did they actually manage to do that? So there's a lot of data points inside of the US government. You have NSA, FBI, CIA, and probably a lot of alphabet soup companies out there whose acronyms I don't even remember or know. And these companies have classified information. So that is the data layer of Palantir. There's other layers that are within Palantir are application layers. Applications are doing the execution, integration layers that are connecting the dots between the applications, tools, and analytics. There's an analytics layer, and there's a data layer itself. So when you connect the dots between those five, you are gaining the ontology. Their primary product's called the ontology. So if you're looking at the data from the classified information that they possess from the US government, they keep that data anonymized, and they're delivering a metadata over to the intelligence. And now the intelligence layer is ChatGPT, Anthropic. This is where I'm going with this. Like, the AI itself is not that mission critical, because you can swap out any LLM. You can change the AI components that are going into the system, and chances are you will look for the cheapest and most cost-effective tool for the job. And that, in an essence, implies that the AI companies are quickly getting commoditized because they are not solving the problem of execution. Execution is solved on the ontology level, or these five execution layers that every business possesses. So when they would get that classified information, they would create what is called the Maven bridge. And this bridge would keep this data anonymized, but it would utilize Claude to find the fastest path to the execution. And that's why there was like a big fiasco between the US government and Anthropic, where Anthropic didn't want to facilitate the usage of Claude in the US government execution of the Iranian war. So if you converge all those points, and you start to understand that Project Maven is a bridge between the data that US government has and the AI companies, you start to realize like how important the execution layer is. So as I kept it really simplified, but in this example, you can observe that Project Maven is shooting the information. So it's like collecting the intelligence from Anthropic and its data, runs the analytics, and then sends the execution to the applications. And in this case, application is a Tomahawk missile or a F-16 fighter getting the intel on where it needs to strike. And it's so well coordinated. Now, and it's brutal to think in those terms, but war is business in this country. So when I've learned that, I started to observe data dramatically differently, and I started to think there was this period in time in digital era where everyone was like obsessing over data, and everyone thought that the data was end all be all, but data needed to become a source of triggers for specific actions, and data needed to go to the analytics teams for the refinement, so that it can drive actionable insights that your business can execute on. Now, the ontology ties the entire full circle of all these 5 components together and allows you to execute in real time. Now, like, you're not running world's most powerful military, you're running a business. But if you're scraping high quality information the same way that Palantir does from all the government agencies, and you properly attach meaning and connection between those data points, you are coming up with the highly laser targeted campaigns that are allowing you to operate and market within the context. Now, I want to say, like, as an agency owner, we are doing a lot of different things to acquire customers. We're publishing content, we're running SEO, we're doing cold email strategies, we're doing cold DMs, we're doing email marketing campaigns, etc. Now, all of these create a data digital footprint that is needed for you to act upon. So you need to connect the dots. Like, in our cases, HubSpot is like a central repository of all of our information. We back it up in BigQuery, which is a data warehousing storage instance where you can store all your data in a MySQL database. And you can scan this information and enrich it. Like, the The tool that we're using for enrichment is called Clay. It's not cheap. This whole video is not for the cheap people or broke people. Like you can internalize the existence of these tools, but you can also utilize this as a mental model on how you can run your business. So finding I'll give you a really plastic example of how data without context is useless. And I'll give a very painful example of the early phases of alpha efficiency where we were acquiring customers. So we would get like a data team. I would have two guys working really hard, and it was like prior to Apollo. If anyone watching this knows what Apollo is, like a B2B database where it's streamlined, like one click, get a list of the prospects that are potentially your customers. But we've been doing this manually, I would say 2019, 2010, 2020. And we orchestrated a really strong campaign where we were sending cold emails to various different verticals of businesses, and we booked 100 phone calls. And now you would say, like, oh my God, like the phone calls, like you must have cleared a lot of money. For all those 100 appointments, the only thing that I could clear to my name was like $3,000 on a small white label project, which was terrible, terrible. Why? Because the data layer of our campaign was completely messed. Like we were hitting the actual emails, but there was no offer. There was no intelligence behind. There was no AI back then. There was no intelligence behind what is it that we were offering to our customers. And I was trying to wing it, try to sell like a $30,000 website through a cold email. You can't push an elephant through the needle's ear. It's not possible. The elephant's too big. And that's where I learned the difference between a warm traffic offer and a cold traffic offer, which is a whole different ballgame. But the data layer in the analytics and scraping the internet can allow you to learn intuitively or quickly as to which offers are being sold through the cold traffic. Now, you don't want to have the cold traffic. That's the other part of the problem. You don't want to talk to people that are cold. And it was always like baffling me. How is it that we were getting so hot leads when they come from Google Ads or where they come like from SEO? They were the hottest leads were coming from SEO, by far the hottest leads. And then there were also super hot but cheap leads coming from Upwork. And I was talking like strictly from the agency perspective. Like this like line of thinking applies to anything else. But I wanted to emphasize that we had this situation where we were absolutely annihilating the cold email as a channel, but because the data layer was not very well thought through, the results were minimal. Even though practically you could say like, hey, realize 100 appointments in 4 months period. But the amount of expenses of running that team, running those cold email campaigns, like the human labor that went into it was like really intense. Now, why am I getting excited? Why am I telling you all of this? Now, back in the day, I didn't have Clay. And Clay is a data orchestration layer. So it does like a good component of what Palantir does as the ontology. You can't say that they're the same because ontology is like way broader enterprise context of an application. But you can say it emulates a lot of those because you can plug and play any AI into Clay and you can integrate it with other subsets of the tool that are allowing you to cold email or cold call. If you send this information to a cold dialer, he could technically act on it. And I've noticed that like a lot of cold calling companies are utilizing Clay for their execution. So you have to understand how data layer is changing everything, but within the context of the analysis and the intelligence. And now with the price of intelligence going down so low, you can observe any ecosystem that is out there to become AI agnostic. What does it mean? That you can plug and play any different AI into your system and your system will still work because the AIs are very similar. You know that Grok is like a little bit retarded. Then you have Claude that's like a little bit more business savvy. ChatGPT that's like more psychopathic and stuff like that. So they have these personality traits. And these personality traits, they come up in the output of what you're doing. So you can choose the best tool for the job in terms of cost effectiveness also. So that is how the future of business is evolving. So if you come to think about it, like back in the day, there were a lot of people that were doing like cold traffic lead generation. So they would sit down and they would send thousands of emails and stuff like that. If you can execute a data orchestration layer and connect it to the application layer where you can utilize the data, analyze it, and send it to the integration and to the application, you can completely bypass human labor. The only thing that you need to execute is the layer itself. And if you create triggers within your system, like for example, the trigger can be a visit on your website, and you know which page they visited, you know which traffic you purchased, which keyword they're coming from, so it gives you the context. And then you do the business matching, like based on their IP address. And when you know which IP address they're coming from and which company they're coming from, you're sending, now this is where it gets interesting. You can send this company information over to OpenClaw and have OpenClaw, which sits on your computer, do the manual research about this particular business. That is mind-blowing. There is no human in the loop. Like you can, like, of course, this will also work only after you've ironed out the bugs, worked through the kinks of the AI system that you're building. But it's completely possible that over time you start automating processes over and over and over again. And once you know how to do this by yourself, you don't need employees. The only thing that you will look happily forward to is how much money do you spend on your AI orchestration, meaning what is your API bill, how much do you spend per month, and from there on out, how much money you are making. It's mind-blowing. And there's companies doing like $50,000 months, $100,000 months with simple service-based products or productized services online, and they let OpenClaw manage their Google Ads, write the landing pages, run the experiments, all with simple skill.md file that follows the execution of the campaign. So the AI runs everything. This is why there's a human obsolescence in 2026. We are reaching that point. Companies are not ready. And those that are not moving fast enough, they are going to suffer. Those who are safe right now are blue collar jobs, because blue collar jobs, they're not going to get automated. Like the robots don't have hand. Like this part, your hand, is the most difficult thing for AI to break into, like on a physical realm of robotics. And it's still going to be much cheaper to deploy a human to go to fix your plumbing, do your carpets, or like do your floors. These things are still going to be more cost effective with humans. And this type of labor is going to increase in 2027 and beyond, like because the majority of population that doesn't create with the AI, and it's not easy to create with the AI. You have to understand the processes and how to create the context for the artificial intelligence to execute on in a format that is favorable to the business. So all the SOPs, standard operating procedures that the company has, they have to be revamped for the AI so that AI completely can take over these tasks, which means that small shop entrepreneurs that are solving problems cost effectively and at scale will benefit from this era of digital renaissance more than we've ever seen before, because we will have a lot of people making a lot of money by deploying simple systems that are like self-improving. And if you come to think about it, there's Hermes. There's already a system called Hermes that becomes like self-developing artificial intelligence system that executes a specific task. And it's different from the OpenClaw, which is like a harness for multiple AI agents to operate within one computer in your local environment or on your server. Preferably in your local environment, because running it on your server is like highly cybersecurity, high risk environment. And I would not recommend it. Like Go find the YouTube video how to set up your own OpenClaw. It's not easy, but you can find like thousands of examples and benefit from it. But if you're in 2026 and your obsession right now is not tied to learning how to systematize processes, make them cheaper, and remove human from the loop, what are you doing with your life? I am honestly asking this question. What is going on in your mind that you are not taking advantage of this opportunity? Because what costed $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 a year for humans to execute on, you can automate that whole thing by yourself. So the capacity that you have as a human being is limited by your knowledge. So it means you have to read a lot and prompt a lot in order to replace processes that would require a human in the loop so that you can get the human out of the loop and reap the value that humans used to create. That is simple. There's just infinite amount of niches that are allowing you to insert yourself and sell a solution to a big pain point. Imagine your value proposition right now is to talk to a business owner and tell him, how would you feel about me saving you $10,000 per month and then eliminating 2 roles and automating it completely? That is the opportunity that will last for the next 3 to 10 years. And now, right now, is the time when you can act on this the most. Like, you can become the Palantir of your niche. Nothing's stopping you. Nothing's stopping you. You have to learn a lot of things because you're limited by the amount of knowledge and awareness that you currently have. But you can transcend your own limitations by reading, by educating yourself, and by building small projects on your own OpenClaw on your own local computer. Go grab yourself a Mac Mini, spend $800 and do it. And I'm not telling you this as someone who's gonna tell you like, oh my God, you gotta set up your OpenClaw so you can have the OpenClaw manager calendar. F that. That's crazy. Like, I don't want you to do that. I want you to set up your own agents that are going to help you get your own clients. If you're not using AI to get clients, what are you doing with your life? Like, AI needs to be an integral part of your client acquisition. Because if you're doing client acquisition manually, you can't scale. If you can't scale, you don't have a business. Like, you need to scale. You need to stay within the realm or find a good partner that's a good salesperson and create him the leads. This doesn't require interaction with another human being. That is the most important part. You get yourself a sales partner and you book him appointments, all with the AI, all utilizing free data on the internet to identify the intent so that you can grow your own company. That is the play for 2026. The opportunity is massive. It's massive. You don't have to learn SEO. You don't have to learn marketing. But if you know how to automate stuff and you're creative enough to save tens of thousands of dollars for small businesses, you will become indispensable. Now, this is where it gets extremely interesting. What the model that is working right now is selling the outcome. So all the companies, including HubSpot, including Notion, all of them are selling the outcome. So per outcome pricing is going to be massive for companies. So imagine that companies running meta ads and they get a lot of junk leads. You can create a little script that they can send you their leads and you can qualify their leads and say, we will only charge you when you have a qualified lead, and filter all their crap from their meta ads and send them only qualified leads for their sales. And you charge them $1 per lead once it's a qualified lead. Of course they'll pay you, it's $1 per lead. But imagine now their sales team only works qualified leads, and as a result, their sales start booming and they start spending more on ads, and now all of a sudden you are qualifying more leads. Now, if they're dealing with 100 leads per day, and all of a sudden they are moving from 100 leads per day and paying you $100, like let's say paying you $30 per day, and they 10x their company because the leads are better and their sales people are closing more. Instead of getting paid $30 per day, they start getting paid $100 to $200 per day from qualifying their leads, keeping your self-hosted N8N instance where you consistently do this on your server and sending them the data back, right? So it's per outcome performance pricing. And this is the model that HubSpot is taking. All the big guys, all the big tech companies are following this model, and they have these big outdated systems that they can't move at the speed of the market because they're corporate. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, and a lot of things gotta go through the internal approvals, and they have to think and they have to change and tweak things out in order to make their company better. You as a small player, you don't have that kind of limitation. You are through the door blowing things up, like in eliminating roles left and right. And people that are working in traditional jobs, 9 to 5 and stuff like that, they have no idea how threatened their jobs are. And I'm not saying this to scare anyone. It's a reality. When you set up your first AI agent and it replaces an actual person that you've been hiring, this thing hits so much harder into the head. It just hits really hard. You start to think only into terms of the outcomes that you can create, because no one's gonna pay for labor anymore. Labor is dead. It's dead. No one cares about labor. The only thing that matters is the outcome. And if you can't create the outcome, what are you doing? Like, get good at getting good. That is where we're at today. It's brutal. It's brutal, but you can talk to AI about how do you get good. You can talk to AI about every problem that you're facing. And you can educate yourself and expand your own level of self-awareness until you get amazing. And for that, only thing that needs to happen is you have to actually give a fuck about what you're doing. That is the only thing. And when you start to care, like, your speed to execution is irrelevant now. Your output is relevant. So you take your time. I don't beat myself up if I do something in 2 weeks or in 2 days. It's good if I do it faster, but I want to do it right. That is how things go. Like, the only way to do things is to do them the right way. Otherwise, you shouldn't be doing them at all, because the value of intelligence is going to $12 for $256,000, 256 kilobytes token towards Claude, like, or $5 towards ChatGPT, or 50 cents towards Kimi 2.6. Intelligence is a commodity. Execution is everything. And execution layer still requires someone to orchestrate that. And the thing is, when you expand your awareness, you can deploy artificial intelligence to help you to define this execution layer. It won't do the whole thing for you. You'll have to do a lot of things to connect them and to click together so that you can build the business of the future. And I can tell you, a lot of people say that AI stuff is easy and you don't have to code. I will say, bullshit. It's hard. AI and deployment of AI orchestration is not an easy task. It requires a high IQ. And if you're not smart, better get smart. That's it. Like, if you want to be successful in 2026 and beyond, you better get smart. And if you don't know how to become smart, go to IQ Gym. I don't know. Figure it out. Like, that's if you want to be successful, if you want to be competitive. You sleep right, read books, prompt every day, work out, get your blood flow through your brain, and get very determined to succeed. Understand why walking improves your neurochemistry. Like, when do you drink coffee for maximum productivity? How many hours can you reasonably work per day? Forget your old school habits of work hard, save money, because that doesn't exist anymore. That does not exist. That world, like, even Sam Altman pivoted from universal basic income. They're like now onto something else. No one wants to pick up that weight, not even the government. So save yourself. And neither AI is coming to save you. You gotta put in the effort to figure it out. And if you've been watching till this very end, leave me a comment, Brian Decoded Espresso, and I'll sign you up for my next workshop. as I'm officially announcing it right now, 2 weeks from now, I'm launching How to Get Clients with the AI. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Brand Decoded, over and out.